I've never seen Firefly, and I just watched episode 11, Trash. First order of business, I got a little mic stand, and I have a new setup where I can actually sit down. In this episode, we run into our old friend Saffron slash Bridget slash Yolanda, and she has decided that she has a yummy little heist for our crew to join her on. This episode was a real now you see me, now you don't theme throughout the entire episode of trust. Who do we trust? How can we trust? We see it with Mal and Saffron. We see it with Jane and Simon. And then we also see it with the audience because we don't know that Mal is in on it. We are like, what are you doing, Mal? Why are you trusting her? I want to start in hot, kind of, with Anara and Mal. I had to watch the episode twice. First, I was confused. Was this conversation a real conversation or was it part of the ruse? Now, from my understanding of watching it twice, the plan to double cross Saffron didn't begin until after the conversation with Anara and Mal. They get in a fight, then they have this discussion off screen, and then he lets Saffron out of the box. With that being said, I'm going to treat that conversation as if it was a real conversation between Mal and Anara. If you disagree, let me know. Everything Anara is saying about needing work makes sense. She needs to make sure she's doing jobs. She needs to make sure that she maintains her status in order to be a companion. Where I think Anara really messes up is how she addresses this with Mal. If you have been following along from the beginning, then you know that Mal and Anara frustrate me to no end. Because how do you spend so much time together and know each other so well and are obviously into each other, yet know nothing about each other? Mal has just had his feathers ruffled by Saffron, who was indeed using her feminine wiles on him. But then he accuses Anara of doing the exact same thing. Why are you trying to use your feminine wiles on me? Like, immediately defensive. And Anara's like, I'm not. What does she do? Hit back with, I'm not trying to sleep with you, Mal. So Mal is accusing Anara of something she's not doing. And then Anara is accusing Mal of something that he's not doing. So both of them are trying to process their feelings, but they're kind of taking it out on each other. I will say that with Mal being so offended by Anara calling him a petty thief after he has on way more than one occasion called her a horrible lady, very eye roll for me. That was a big eye roll moment. It gave man behind the curtain, if you know what I mean. You're upset that she's calling you a petty thief and not showing you any respect, but you have never and will never respect her profession. And of course, this conversation is never addressed on camera. So after that, they come up with this plan to betray or double cross Saffron. How did they forgive each other so quickly and move on? I'm not sure. They probably swept it under the rug and continue to annoy each other till this day. In my personal opinion, Mal and Anara are never going to work. I wish they would just move on. We also know for sure that Anara does not get a cut of whatever the crew thieves, so that's good to know. Saffron cracks me up because yes, Mal was smart enough to have a plan in place for the double cross, but he also knew he would get double crossed. So he's trusting her, but he doesn't trust her. He knows the line. Thought it was pretty funny that Saffron is using the exact same method that she did last time, and it's working on Mal again. Like, yes, he has the plan in place, but she goes to her. What do you know? I'm a damsel in distress. I'm going to cry. And even though Mal knows he shouldn't, he still goes over to comfort her. You can say that was a part of the plan, but I highly doubt Mal wanted to be buck ass when they picked him up. Does Mal win or lose? He wins. He gets the stuff in the end, but let's not count Saffron off. She got a point. Loved how they were tricking the audience in the same way that we are tricking Saffron. So she thinks that Mal and Anara are fighting. She thinks Anara's off the ship. They let her catch Anara and Zoe talking about going off world. So we think that's all true. So we're like, why is Mal trusting her? Little do we know, he's not. We don't know how reliable of a narrator Saffron is because the girl lies, right? But her story about Duran to me was giving like nice guy on paper, not so much behind closed doors. Says he loves her so much, but he immediately called the cops. So he loves you but doesn't trust you and wants you to go to jail. So that whole thing was an act. Like they were both putting on an act for each other. I choose to believe that, like a real professional, Saffron is using experiences and emotion that she does feel and has like experienced, but she's manipulating them, blowing them out of proportion in certain times to get people to do what she wants them to do. I think Duran probably was terrible to her, but she's going to play that up, right? Why not? Mal thinking that he was still a good guy that she shouldn't have betrayed. I wasn't getting that. Like, I was on Saffron's side with Saffron versus Duran. I was surprised that Mal wasn't on her side, but I have to remember that Mal has some issues with her from the past. And again, I think it's the man behind the curtain kind of poking his head out. I think that's why the audience and Mal forgive Saffron again and why we like her, because she's smart. She's evil, but she's brilliant and she's funny and she's a fun character. To me, she is much like Mal in her moral ambiguity, which I'll talk about more. We find out that River does indeed know that Jane was trying to double cross them, and she lets Simon know that that's the case. They really make you think that Simon is going to threaten him or like use his position as a doctor to be like, in a threatening way, hey Jane, what the hell? But Simon is smart and he's going to do something better. He knows that that'll just piss Jane off if he threatens him. So instead, he's going to show him, look, I'm useful. I'm useful. I'm loyal. I'm not going to hurt you. You want me around. I think that was a genius approach to dealing with Jane. And then, of course, you have River, who will follow it up with an actual physical threat if he, the other way didn't work. Honestly, the scene was so badass of Simon, and I was like, I love this man. Overall, this was a really fun episode that used the heist plot to show us how the verse works. Like, how do we trust people in the verse? Because they live in a very different world than we live in, which I need reminding a lot from you guys in the comments. The world is morally ambiguous in Firefly, on the ship, in these outer planets. They don't have the social constraints that we do. So, how are we trusting people? Who do we trust? What is trust? This episode really dove into that. We steal, but only from the bad guys. My shiny moments were Monty. Even though he had very little screen time, he kind of stole the show and was extremely memorable to me. Zoe slapping the crap out of Saffron and then Anara calling her a big baby while she was in the trash was hilarious to me. I'm sorry, it was funny. Al, like, picking his nail and teeth while Saffron and Duran are kissing, like, this is awkward, was pretty funny. My favorite line of the episode was, I appreciate your honesty. Not, a lot, but that's it for this week. Next week, we have episode 12, which I believe is called Message. So we'll see what that one's about. The screen grab is like a picture of Mal looking not great. As always, thank you guys for watching. I hope you're all having a magical holiday season and celebrating with whoever makes your heart happy. We are about to go hit some Christmas lights, take some pictures with Santa, hence all the makeup. I will see you guys next week.